Hi, welcome to Barmy Army fan cams after a 4-2 win away at West Ham. Very, very strange game. Second half didn't really happen for probably 40 odd minutes, and then finally we managed to put the game to bed. Decent first half, should have been out of sight within the first 5-10 minutes, I think we'd all agree. But we won, and after being there last year, and after being a bit edgy because of last year, I'll definitely take that. Fiona, Ian, Jake and Shane are joining me. We've all just watched that game. Ian, your thoughts on that game, please?
It's a game of two halves again. You know, we've been poor in the first half and really good in the second half this season. And today it was the other way around. We were really good in the first half. As you said, could have been out of sight after 5 minutes. We had three really good chances in the opening 5 minutes. Scored, three really good goals in that first half. And then in the second half, it was, as you said, it was nothing until about the 85th minute where we let West Ham score a goal that should never be conceded. I'm sorry to say that Mary should be putting that over easily. But yeah, to reply though, and go straight back down the other end and score, something that we've been doing ourselves, scoring and then conceding. So it's nice to concede, go up the other end and put the game to bed. So that was good, promising today.
There's a lot of positives we can take from today, I think, even in amongst a bit of frustration. Fiona, your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, in the first 10, 15 minutes, I did think, is it going to be one of those games where we were creating lots of chances, but, we weren't finishing them. And then by half time, we were thinking, oh, this is great. And then the second half, we were a bit edgy, we were trying to see the game out a bit, not really going for another goal. And then they got back into it. But by the end, overall, it was a pretty calm performance, you could say. West Ham, we gave them a few chances, but they never looked like they were going to beat us. It definitely looked like it was our game to take and win, and which we did. And there was good performances from quite a few players, which is again positive. Building on from the last few games, our performances are getting better. For the full 90 minutes, we're getting there. Still room for improvement, but happy to get a variety of goal scorers and assists as well. So I think overall quite happy with the game.
Okay. Jake, your thoughts on today?
Yeah, I'm actually really happy, if I'm honest with you. I feel like for a lot of the first half, we completely controlled it. It was a positive start, as you say. We just couldn't really get any shots on target, but that soon changed. We scored 4 goals, and that's the main thing for me. We had plenty of attacking intent. We had some brilliant star performances again, which last few games have sort of been lacking that. Players at their best, but there were a number of players today who I would say were at their best, if not very near there. We conceded 2, but there's always something to work on. And it was a lot more comfortable than the game last season against West Ham. And I think that was one of the main things, because West Ham are one of those teams that can beat you on their day. But we were comfortable for large parts of the game and just got the job done.
Jake, I couldn't have asked you to help me segue to Shane any better, because I've left Shane to the end. You and I, Shane, we had a moment last year away at West Ham, and it was when LJ scored to put us 2-1 up, and we celebrated slightly heavily. I think is effectively what I'm saying.
Just a bit,
just a little bit. But what happened in that match? Me as a fan, I was coming into today with that worry, that anxiety, because of the way that game had gone. And actually, Ian, I know you talked about that game last year. Shane, we talked about it. But being there, it just felt uncomfortable. So even at 3-2 today, when they pulled it back to 3-2, I had that moment of, oh boy. But now, on reflection, should we have been worried?
We're always worried. The game's not done until the.
Yeah.
It's not done until the final whistle. We learned that the hard way last year. But look, I think Ian said it perfectly. It was nice for once that, the other team's got a goal and then we've gone up the other end and put the game to bed effectively. So it was a well taken goal as well from Kristen. Gone in off the post, but you're a striker, you'll take any goal. It doesn't matter where it goes in from. Performance-wise, I thought better in the first half, and then the second looked like we come out and just wanted to control the game and see it out, which for how we were playing in the first, I was probably a bit disappointed that we didn't just carry on the way we did, because I'd have liked to have put that game to bed by the 60-minute mark and be 5-6-1 up. I thought we had that in us. We should have been 3-0 up in the first 10 minutes, which it seems like we always have one of those games every season. Last year it was Tottenham away, where we pepper them for the first 10 minutes and don't get anything to reward us for it. But yeah, you know what? 4-2 win. Revenge is sweet.
Very sweet. The only regret, obviously, is that we weren't there to enjoy, to throw it back at the
of course
fans. But yeah, I think we can. For those of us that went through the trauma of last year, we can put that to bed. Jake, I'm thinking now in terms of, we've got a couple of weeks off. There's international breaks. There's last year's FA Cup. So we've got an opportunity for players to get back who've been injured. We've got players who still need minutes, who might not have had time to train, certainly in the last however many months. What for you is going to be the most important thing that the girls work on? The ones that are obviously still here and won't be going off on international duty in the in-between time now.
Yeah, I think the main thing is probably our defence, because you can look back to the first half and think, oh yeah, we had some shots off target, whatever, but we showed we can score. And we scored 4 in the game, and I can't have any complaints about that. We're not hitting the target every time, but we do enough, which I think is an improvement on last season. But the defence is still a bit uncertain for me, and I hate to criticise, because as I say, I'm really happy we've won. We've put in a good performance, but there's little. I hate single them out, but Millie Turner, Abby McManus, as good as they were at times, there's little moments where they make a mistake and we'd all go, oh, and we were lucky not to concede from those. But yeah, I think the defence still just needs working on. It doesn't look as strong as it has in the past. And Casey, as a former defender herself, she'll know what needs to be addressed and really drilled into them.
Ian, what would you say? You agree with Jake, or do you think there's something else we need to be working on and improving over the next couple of weeks?
No, I think Jake's right. Obviously, getting more efforts on target would be beneficial. But, we did score 4 saves, but we could have had 7. And as Shane said, I really hoped in that second half we just kept, foot on throat. Get the 4th, get the 5th, get the 6th. But the defensive errors, again, we conceded 2 goals through defensive errors. Because I'm going to say this now, Mary should be keeping that second out. That really annoys me, actually, that second goal. That really did. And the first, we've just left someone completely unmarked, and Amy Turner's come in last minute to try and throw a body at it. She might have given away a penalty by doing it, but she didn't get there. But it's 2 goals we shouldn't have conceded. And if you take those 2 moments out of it, I think Mary made 1 save in the second half. Otherwise, she's done nothing all afternoon again. So there are positives to be had because the teams are not creating chances. But again, if we make those mistakes against an Arsenal, against a Chelsea, against a City, we will be punished. We might not necessarily be punished against a West Ham or as often, but we make it against one of the big 3. We're going to get ourselves into trouble. So Casey will be working on that on the defence, I'm sure, over the next 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, we joked earlier on in the season, and I'm wondering, Shane, Fiona, I'm going to put this one to you. When we joked about when Heath, Press, Russo, once the second batch of incomings arrived, we sort of joked about, you score 6, we're going to score 7. Is that masking? And are we doing that for a start? Is that almost the game plan? But almost also, is that masking any defensive frailties? Shane?
possibly, but then a lot of us are quite eagle-eyed that will come on here after games and start pointing out the defensive mistakes, regardless of whether we've won or lost. So Casey was a defender, and I don't think she'd be happy with some of the defending going on. And I think she'd want to fix it, and I think this gives her an opportunity to do so with those that stay. Sadly, there's going to be two of them that are going away for internationals now, so you don't get the full house in that regard. But when we're conceding goals, there always seems to be something defensively, be it a defender, be it a midfielder not pressing, be it a keeper error. There's always something that's like a real nitpicky thing that we should just be doing as standard. Excuse me. Whereas if a team scores against us, then they've just absolutely ripped us apart and scored a worldie or a team goal, whatever like that. You can sometimes take it and you go, it's just one of them. But when we're almost contributing to conceding, that's where it gets annoying. And I don't think you want to get into the mentality of being, I will just outscore you. We might be capable of doing that, but you don't want that to be the mentality, because actually then your standard overall drops. And I don't think Casey would like that.
Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit here and say that when we score, we tend not to look at it in terms of their defenders should have done better. And I think that just goes through all football. But when obviously we concede, we always look at what our defenders could have done. But yeah, I get your point. If it's a worldie, you just sometimes have to hold your hands up. Fiona, are we going to be guilty of that at times this year?
Well, if you look at the Spurs game, we won 1-0. They didn't concede. But the chances that they had were our fault. So our defensive poor passing or whatever. So I think that has to be what we look at. Because in the Spurs game, in the first 15 minutes of this game, we make chances, but we're not clinical enough. We're not scoring them. Their goalkeeper might be having a great day. So, going with we'll score 4, it'll be fine, doesn't matter if we concede. That's not always the case. We've always struggled in the WSL to score. The first goal seems to be our biggest problem. Once they've scored, or once they scored our first, then it seems a lot easier. So I think if we sort our defensive issues, that puts less pressure on the team, on the strikers, on the midfield, in actually finishing those chances. Whether that will then help them as well, that would be something that they might have like in their head mentally, like, I can't go too far forward because I have to help the defence out because they've not been playing great. That's not something we want to see. Obviously, a neutral would love a 4-3 game every week, but as a United fan, we don't want that. We don't want to be sat on the edge of our seats. We want a 4-0 win. So I think it has to be defensively. Obviously, there's a few things that, we could work on our finishing. We could work on our set plays. There's lots of different things. Our passing, but I think the focus has to be defensively, because that has been our weakness so far this season.
Yeah, and we've got a really tough run of games coming up after the next international break. We've got Arsenal, City and Everton and the Conti, the other way around, sorry. So we're going to need everybody back. We're going to need everybody firing. And that's really going to let us know what our expectations can be, I think, this season. Last but not least, player of the match, Jake.
I'm going to sound like the biggest fanboy going, but once again, Jackie Cronin. And there's a good bit of competition for it this time, honestly. Like, you look at Toby, she had a great hour when she was playing. Alessia Russo, maybe not playing the match level, but had a decent game with the 2 goals. Look, Jackie, again, I say it every week, she just does the job, and she does it so well. And I commented towards the end of the watch along there, in stoppage time, there was a West Ham player, I can't remember who it was, on the edge of the box with the ball, and Jackie sprinted across. Having played the full 90, she's probably really tired at that point. She sprints across to win the ball back. And it's that mentality. She just does not let off. Plenty of tackles, plenty of good balls through that, we say it all the time, we might have missed. We'll watch it back and think, that was world class, that was brilliant. And once again, she's just been on it today. So even though she didn't play a massive part going forward, she's done really well. My player of the match.
One vote for Jackie. Shane?
In a way, I do agree with Jake. There's more names that are capable, I should say, this week. There's not one individual that's absolutely stands out, but I think to keep it interesting, I'll benefit the striker here and I'll give it Leslie.
Okay, thank you for that. Fiona?
For me, it has to be between Jackie and Tobin.
Okay.
Because they changed. You could just see their quality. They great passes, Jackie getting back, helping out defensively, Tobin dealing with difficult situations. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Jake and give it to Jackie today. I think because she played the full 90 minutes and just the commitment on the pitch as well. It was a great performance all round from her.
Okay. Ian?
This is really hard as well for me because, Jackie's had a really good game. Tobin was fantastic again. Alessia's probably the best performance for us since she's joined. Today she didn't just score goals, she assisted as well. That's one thing we were kind of critical of in the last couple of weeks, as Alessia was probably being a little bit too greedy. So she had a really good game. I would really like to give it to Tobin, but because Jackie did it for the full 90, it would be Jackie again this week.
Fan cams have spoken. Jackie Gronan wins player of the match. Honourable mention for Alessia Russo. On a personal level, I'd be looking at Jackie as player of the match, but I have to say I'm also absolutely thrilled that our American collection, because I kind of put Russo in there, we're our goal getters today. So I feel like that's an American phrase as well, goal getters. So rather than just the scorers. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. We can have a break now. No watch-alongs for a couple of weeks. In fact, we were just saying that the next game is the Conti Cup game against Everton. We have no idea if we're even going to be able to see that. Hopefully we will somehow. If so, we'll try and do fan cams after. If not, it could be really interesting fan cams. But yeah, we'll try and do something. In the meantime, thanks everybody for joining me. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.